A bad trip turned me into a preacher, writes the Bucks Herald newspaper, January 2012. As a drug-fueled criminal, in the swinging 60s, David Clarke thought he was living life to the full. Well known to the police, he and his brother Michael were notorious, in Aylesbury, stealing cars and burglaring homes around the Vale, but David saw the error of his ways and converted to Christianity, after a terrifying acid trip. His unlikely tale is told in Converted on LSD Trip, a new book that takes its name from the 1971 Bucks Herald newspaper, about his turnaround, and now in a new edition called Borstol Boys. I know the aimless list of people who get involved with criminality these days, like those in the London riots, said David. My objective is to help the people who can be helped. I've been there, worn the t-shirt, and I want to help people out. The brother's life of crime started when his family moved to a new house in the Burglaring estate, in Aylesbury, over some boys who took David's moped, when they were living in Woolston. So he told his older brother Michael, who attacked one of the boys with a knuckle duster, made in the metalwork class, at Mortimer Hills School, in Tring, and was sent to detention centre, in Oxford. Michael spent the rest of his teenage years in and out of detention centres, and Rochester Borstol. David began stealing bicycles with a friend and was eventually given probation for stealing a motorbike. I started to mix with my brother's mod friends, who were older than me, whilst Michael was in Rochester Borstol. I lived in my brother's sunlight. He was so notorious around Aylesbury, David said. As a 15-year-old, you're only interested in girls' money and music. On released from Rochester Borstol, David and Michael continued their criminal endeavours, stealing cars, and chloroforming people, even in the Grosvenor Dance Hall, but the brothers were sent back to jail for malicious wounding, after shooting a woman with an air gun. He thought it was a joke shooting some bird in the backside to make her scream, said David. When I got out of Borstol, I was determined to live life to the full, and whilst inside, I learned how to get away with a life of crime. For the next 3 years, David went about stealing cars, mechanical equipment, and anything else that he needed, until an epiphany, which came on the 16th of January, 1970, when he had a terrifying LSD trip, and thought he was going crazy as he lay down petrified in a garden sun shed, in Mount Street, in Aylesbury. Jesus spoke to him and told him that what he was going through was nothing compared to hell, said David. From that night on, he lived as a Christian, and even returned some of the items he had stolen, including a trolley jack he'd taken from a garage near the Broad Lays pub, in Aylesbury. David's previous crimes caught up with him though. When police arrested him for stealing a colour TV he had stolen from an old people's home in Winslow. He confessed to 24 crimes but was given a conditional discharge. David went on to live a religious life, becoming a strict Baptist minister, being sent to preach by the Bearton and Stricter Particular Baptist Church, in 1982. Being sent by the Strict Baptist Church and lectured in electronics at Luton College of Higher Education. However, Michael continued his life of crime, until 1996, when he was sentenced to 16 years in a jail in the Philippines, for promoting child prostitution, a crime he always denied. He too found God, in 1999, some 30 years after David's conversion, and became a Christian. The two brothers then turned their focus to help other criminals to go straight by teaching them about Christ. Michael died of tuberculosis in New Bilibid prison, in 2005, before their vision of bringing help to many was realized. David is now still fighting to clear his name from the false conviction and continues to this day to help many of those who has encountered in his life's journey. Bucks Herald newspaper, January 2012.